It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, debut episode, Score North Twin Show. Declan Goff here. I'm joined with Judd Zolgad. Twins win on opening day, but it kind of feels weird, Judd. It feels almost like a funeral to me. It's an exciting win.
Yeah.
There's plenty to talk about. There was plenty of positives.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, your lead A talker here, as we kind of circle the bases on extra innings. That's what we'll do here on each episode of Extra Innings. We will circle the bases. I have 4 takeaways that I'll get into here with Judd. But obviously, the main headline takeaway is not that the Twins won on opening day. They lose Royce Lewis to apparently what is a quad injury. Well, obviously, we're recording this live just minutes after the final pitch was made in Kansas City, so we'll probably see an update here, potentially skull across. But Royce Lewis stepped up to the plate, Judd. An amazing at-bat, by the way. And that I had so many notes on just the first AB that I wanted to talk about on this. And he steps in, calls time, and then launches one. Launches one against a really good pitcher in Cole Riggins, by the way. That guy's going to be a force for the Royals for a little bit.
Yep.
He launches one. Next at-bat, gets a single. He's on first. He's rounding second. And something doesn't look right. He pobbles up to third. He's had hamstring issues before. He's torn ACLs. Obviously, a lot of Twins fans know the injury history with him. And he ends up leaving with what is a quad injury. I'm not joined with Mackie, who is my fellow wrestling nerd. When I think quad injuries, I think Triple H, the game, suffering 2 torn quads. And that's like, I just automatically go to the disastrous mode. But my God, the kid comes in with so many expectations that he wants to prove to people that he can stay healthy. That was his main thing that he was telling everyone. He doesn't want to just put up an MVP season because he can. He wants to prove to people that he can stay healthy. And Judd, an unfortunate start to the Twins season, and we'll see how long maybe Royce Lewis is out of the lineup and potentially not helping out this ball club.
Yeah, it really sucked. So I would say the 2 things that you have to allow to heal for sure, among lots of things, are quads and obliques. So like Duran's going to miss the first month or so. I won't be surprised if Royce is out for a month now, because this is not the type of thing. If you come back, it's like a hamstring. If you try and come back too quickly and it goes again or it tears, you're done. So yeah, this is about now. When it was weird when he rounded the base and Morneau on the Bally telecast speculated, and he was right. If you go back and watch, when Royce rounds second, he hits the inside of second base with his left foot, and his ankle sort of twisted oddly. And so at first I thought, oh, he basically probably sprained his left ankle, which wouldn't be great, but it would be preferable to a quad. But then when CJ Fogler retweeted the highlight itself, you could see that once Royce rounded second base and took a couple of steps, you could see him just sort of straighten up and that quad go. So I don't think it's torn, but it's not good. And yeah, I think it's going to be at least a month.
Yeah, it's just a complete ball breaker because we obviously know how well this guy can be when he's in the lineup. He's as good as anyone. He has an MVP force. He has that charisma about him. And I don't know. I know a lot of Minnesota sports fans just look at it and say, like, why can't we have nice things? And Royce Lewis getting injured on his second at-bat in the 3rd inning of opening day is certainly quite a buzzkill. And like I said, man, I actually have a lot of fun things that I want to talk about that I noticed from today's game that are worth talking about, that are exciting and that are positive plays. But I keep going back to the fact that they potentially, again, have lost Royce Lewis, their superstar in the face of their franchise, for maybe an extended period of time.
I just don't understand how you have, and I mean, this is across the board. How do you have so many key parts of your team get hurt so much? I mean, Buxton's, obviously we've talked about that 1,000 times, and he's 30 now. But, now Royce, 2 torn ACLs, including one where he slipped on the ice in like Dallas, Texas. He had the hamstring last year. If you recall, he was DHing when the playoffs started, not because they thought he should DH. He couldn't play the field. And now you look at, and yes, Steve here brings up the fact that Brooks Lee, we found out today at the Gardenhire access for the St. Paul Saints, Toby Gardenhire, that Brooks Lee is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks with back spasms. We knew he had back spasms, and now I'm thinking he probably got sent down because of that, because he wasn't going to start the season healthy. I guess Larnach is day to day. Like, this injury list is absolutely ridiculous, but if Royce is out for a while, Jose Miranda?
Yeah.
Because
Austin
Brooks
Martin.
Lee might have been because Brooks Lee might have been the guy to be like, okay, let's put him in, but he's out for a month now too. So it's just, it sucks because you want to see these guys play. These aren't slappies. These are, these are guys that you will pay money to go see and who are just absolutely imperative to the team's success. And it's not like it's, okay, this is the first time he got hurt. It's opening day, but the first time he got hurt. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. What the buzzkill for me is, and Twins fans got to see this in the playoffs, and anyone that's kind of been around Royce Lewis, whether you're a media person or just maybe you went up to him and met him at Twins Fest or whatnot, he has just this presence and aura about him that is authentic, and it's positive, and it's easy to root for him. And when that is now removed from a nucleus of a team that I think is not at a crossroads, but they've been at a tipping point in a long time with Minnesota sports fans, and they end up having a very successful, for them, playoff run where they actually get the monkey off their bat, and they have high expectations, and then there's this weird thing that happens with the payroll, and now fans are pissed again. It's a just gut punch, not for obviously his teammates and the product on the field. It's a gut punch to fans who want to show up every day and root for a player that's awesome to see every day in and day out.
Yeah.
And now you're potentially, again, without him on another freak injury. I mean, hamstring. What was it last year? Did he run down to first?
In Baltimore. Yeah, I think he was playing. I think they were playing the O's at Camden Yards, and he was running to first. And I mean, that's not that freaky, but it's just he can't stay healthy. That's the freaky thing, is that it's like with him and Buxton, do they have to be bubble wrapped?
Yeah.
And plus, they're two guys you desperately want to see play. Like, if you're if you're a sports fan, they're like two guys that you want to see play, and they just, unfortunately, can never stay on the field. And what are the odds of two dynamic players like that, both of them, being hurt so much?
And first overall pick, second overall pick, like not even like guys that were routinely groomed in minor leagues that were mid-tier guys. Like you said, these are top-tier prospects that are expected to be game-changing, altering players. And unfortunately, that's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want, I obviously I've been sour on Buxton just expectation-wise, just because I'm used to him being injured. And unfortunately, that's going to start happening with Royce Lewis now, where the guy just has a litany of injuries, and fans just are waiting for the shoe to drop of what's going to happen here. So he rounds second base, and now he has a quad injury. So we'll wait to hear what happens from that. But yeah, that is the lead takeaway from opening day. And there's some other fun things that I'm about to get into. But all right, it's unfortunate. Hopefully it's like Judd said, maybe at the minimum it's just a month, and the guy can come back, and the Twins will still be all right without him.
Yeah, how about we just they win the game, nobody gets hurt.
I know.
Live to fight, live to be off tomorrow in KC, and then you come back on Saturday. But anyway, yes, what's the positive? What's first base as far as positive goes?
All right, so yeah, we rounded first. Now let's go to second here. Let's go to Pablo Lopez. Yeah, easy.
Oh, my leg
easy.
Okay.
Yeah, easy.
Okay, I'm going to limp in.
Please don't. I really need your quads here, okay? I really need your quads here for at least the next 20 minutes or so.
All right.
Pablo Lopez proves that spring training stats don't matter. So Pablo Lopez goes out and just has a fantastic game. And I think there was a maybe. Some fans a little bit on edge. He gives up, obviously, the leadoff bomb in the bottom of the first. And then he struggles a little bit. He still gives up a couple hits, but then really settles in at about the third inning after he gave up, I believe, the double to Bobby Witt Jr., and then just is on cruise control the rest of the day. 7 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts. His fastball is awesome today. 12 whiffs on 23 swings, so a 52% swinging miss rate on just that fastball alone. A swinging miss rate of over 30% today. He goes out there. He's out there in the 7th. He's facing the 3rd time through the order. Looks like Rocco's going to hook him, and Rocco keeps him in.
He talked him out of it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, how about Provis? And they didn't show this again. How about Corey saying he motioned to the bullpen?
Yeah, I didn't see that part. I'm sure Corey did. Maybe
but,
when he
right, because
walked
Corey's
out.
watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the bullpen door opened up, right? And Brock Stewart started to come in, but good on Pablo. And and that's one case, Dex, where you're very thankful that the home plate umpire was
Oh,
Laz Diaz, who
good
has
God.
no clue what's going on. Because I
Yeah.
think if the home plate umpire had seen him motion, you're done, right?
Yeah. And look,
So
Diaz
Laz is
had a
paying no attention.
Diaz had a game in itself today. I
He's
mean,
off. He's
he's one of the worst.
Angel, Laz, CB Buckner. I could go through Joe West before he retired.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, good on him. And I'm with you on this. So I think there are guys that struggle where you're like, okay, this is a little concerning. Like Wallner struggling at the plate until the last 10 days or so. And I guess according to what Provis said, Rocco finally called him in and said, just settle down. You're going to make the roster. Quit freaking out. But when you saw that Pablo was struggling in Florida, I'm with you completely. You were like, okay, if he struggles here, but he literally is at the point in his career where he could be working on any number of things. That's where the cliche actually is okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought he was dominant. Man, that was an impressive first performance.
Yeah, his fastball topped out at 96 and a half today. That sweeper that he was throwing a lot to, that got some swings and misses as well. That got a few swings and misses. Yes, today at least it did. So yeah, he mixed in the fastball, the sweeper, his changeup a lot. He threw a couple of his curveballs, not a lot, but he looked like Pablo Lopez and got through a shaky little outing, or shaky start to his outing. But then once that was over, settled in 84 pitches. I mean, if this is probably a higher leverage game, he might have went out there for the eighth. I mean, only 84 pitches. Like, they're building him up a little slowly. I wouldn't be shocked if this was a bigger situation. He's probably out there for the eighth inning too.
Question for you as well. How much do you think he tried or he convinced Baldelli to allow him to grind through because of the bullpen being so short? And like, because ordinarily it might be okay, Griffin Jax is going to come in and get the last couple outs of the seventh, right? And then Brock Stewart comes in, or Brock Stewart comes in, and then ultimately Duran comes in. I wonder if that's going to be, or was in the back of his mind of, if I come out now, I'm taking a little bit more of a chance than I probably will be come June.
And you're saying that when he came out to the mound the first time in the seventh,
I'm saying when
right?
he talked Rocco into allowing him to
Yeah.
stay in, I wonder how much in Pablo's mind the thought was, if I come out now, we're sort of rolling the dice a little bit because the bullpen isn't nearly as solid as it's going to be in a couple of months.
Yeah, and I'm certain that, look, they weren't going to allow Pablo to throw 100 pitches a day, which is fine, but I think he definitely earns the right as your opening day and as your ace. Let's be honest, too, not just opening day. Last year, you had a 1A, 1B situation in Pablo and his Sonny, but Pablo's your ace now. He's your staff ace. He's well-respected. He's well-liked, and I'm sure he told Rocco, let me finish the inning, and if we get out of this quickly, I'll even turn it over to Brock
Rocco.
Stewart in the eighth. That's totally all good.
Right.
But I think Rocco allowed him to say, you know what, you can get these next two guys. He gets Melendez right to ground out to second, and then he strikes out Renfroe looking to end the seventh inning. So yeah, dominant day for Pablo Lopez.
Absolutely.
Keeping it on the pitching side, we did see the bullpen pecking order kind of play itself out. At least the first two guys. The first two guys that, if they were leading, now that the Twins were able to stockpile obviously some insurance runs there in the ninth, but we saw clearly what is the trust tree without Duran, without Topa, without Theobar. The trust tree as of right now is starter into Brock Stewart, then into Griffin Jax. Those are their top two firefighters. And I don't think that's like surprising. That wasn't shocking to me considering the injuries that have happened to the bullpen. And
Right.
both those guys, I would say, and classic overreaction opening day, not their best stuff, not their best first outing, not like they were blowing people away by any means. Definitely looked like Griffin Jax was a little nervous to start that game, but then was able to calm down. But I wanted confirmation if they were still going to go to Jax in the bottom of the ninth, even with the, obviously, insurance runs they had, and I'm sure they just had Griffin warmed up, so they were going to bring him in regardless. I did like to see that it was Brock Stewart into Griffin Jax, and those are going to be your number 1 and 2 firefighters, at least for now, to start the season.
And Griffin Jax, you could tell he came in and was like really amped up. Now he's also to what you're talking about, Dex, he's also being asked to close, and ordinarily he probably would have come in the eighth, and you could see the nerves. Fortunately, I thought he calmed down really quickly because at first I'm like, ooh, he was missing by a lot, and like if Laz Diaz can't call it a strike, you're missing by a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that. I think again, are they going to blow some saves? Is he before Duran gets back? Almost certainly yes. But today was the Royals are an improved team. They're not great, but they're certainly improved.
Yeah.
And I thought that what we saw today was at least a Band-Aid, because the thing about this is, so there are certain things to be concerned about. The rest of the rotation, quite frankly. But, I think the question is not, is the Twins bullpen completely screwed? They're going to get guys back. The question is, how long can this current iteration of the bullpen hold up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because once guys come, it's a 162 game season. It lasts all summer into fall. So the reality is you should be fine there. They did build a good bullpen. Unfortunately, they got about 6 guys hurt. So I think what we have to look at is, can you get through a month with this current setup? And I think the answer is probably yes. And if you can, now you got guys, Duran's back in May. Well, that changes the entire ball game. Tope is back as well. So yeah, I'm not happy about it, but it's not to me an active, huge concern, because I think ultimately the plan for the bullpen remains a good one.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I would have liked to saw a more cleaner inning between both those guys. They ended up throwing 35 pitches between both them. They're facing kind of in high leverage situations. To your point, Jax looks a little more amped up. Stewart was struggling a little bit to kind of get consistency there too. But Stewart comes out throwing 97 miles an hour.
Yep.
And I think once Griffin Jax kind of took the deep breath after the leadoff walk, which was okay, here we go. Things got better. You're going to need those two, though, by the way, to have cleaner innings.
Sure.
Especially if Duran is out, both those guys throwing 17 plus innings in one inning of work, not ideal every single time. They're firemen. They got to get out of this jam. They have to use not as many pitches. They got to strike out guys. They can't be walking and filling counts. They have to be relied upon as your number 1 and 2 options out of that bullpen.
Yeah, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that it's opening day. They're being used in slightly different roles than they're used to. So as far as the things I saw today, that didn't discourage me that much.
Yeah. I'll give you an offensive takeaway, Judd. Carlos Correa is a wizard, man. Just great day. Yep. Great day. Looked more like the decorated playoff hitter he was with the Houston Astros. Looked more like the playoff version of Carlos Correa 2 we saw in the Twins uniform at the end of October. He ends up coming to the plate 5 times. He reaches in 4 of those opportunities, and he just has, again, that captain-like presence. You can tell that guy has been there. He has done that. He knows what to do. He gets a borderline strike call from Diaz right there in the 9th, and he shoots him a smile and doesn't show up the umpire. And those type of little subtle things that come from Carlos Correa, who, by the way, is booed at every stadium he walks into because of everything that happened with Trash Can and Bountygate. But he is a wizard in the field. He was great at the plate. He's going to be hitting in the heart of this lineup every single time, whether it's righties or lefties. And although he had the plantar fasciitis and he's dealt with a few nagging injuries before in his career, if he's in the lineup, I think there is kind of an exhale of, okay, Carlos is in the lineup. We know how to lean on him. He also knows how to lead, too. That is an incredibly important factor, that there's some guys who are really good players, and they don't really maybe want the spotlight, and or they don't want to lead their troops maybe into battle to a degree. Carlos Correa wants all of that, right? He wants the pressure. He wants to lead the players. He wants to show everyone how it's done. And you saw the Carlos Correa that you saw with the Astros, and saw as a guy who's obviously paid to be a superstar player.
He's so good at shortstop, too, though. And for as much as I think ultimately the plantar fasciitis caused him to struggle at the plate last season, he was really good at short, and now he's healthy. And I would say this, because we have seen this team go through how many shortstops, basically since Greg Gagne. It's been just a litany of changes. And I think the one thing is, as Twins fans, you cannot take for granted what it means to have a good shortstop, because they make things look simple that I think that you do start to take it for granted. Of course, he made that play. He's Carlos Correa, but then you flash back to all of the guys that couldn't make plays. And yes, at the plate, he looked great. Hopefully, he has a far better season at the plate. But it's so important from like a pitcher standpoint, right? That defense. And, Dex, now you've got Correa at short, knock on wood, Buxton in center. Like, you look, when you talk about being strong just simply up the middle, which is huge in baseball. I mean, the Twins got some nice parts there. But yeah, Correa, I'm with you. He is very much a shortstop captain type, and I, if he hits, great, but he makes plays, man, and he makes hard plays look like routine plays, and that's really impressive to me.
I'll give you a bonus one too, because I actually thought, coming in very cold in Edward Julian, who had to come into the game to replace Royce Lewis, and then obviously had to shift to second base and move Farmer over to third in the defensive alignment, and then Eddie Julian comes up, no problem. Dude hits a single, draws a walk.
Off a lefty.
He was calm and collect. That ninth inning play, that could confuse a guy who was not obviously honed at second. He found the ball. He made the smart play. He got the out at first. Again, like those things where I know Carlos like goes over to Royce Lewis during spring training and kind of coaches him up on how he would attack, a slow dribbler or a Baltimore chopper that's coming at you. How do you want to go after that? And that obviously then trickles into guys like Edward Julian, who is still kind of learning the glove side of things at second base. And he comes in a very, prematurely. I'm sure Julian was planning, to enter this game. I'm sure Rocco had a plan. He probably didn't want to put him in at the third inning with your superstar player coming out of the game. But those little things that definitely trickle down to all of those guys in the infield, and especially this young nucleus, because it's kind of this interesting mix, right, of Carlos Correa and Carlos Santana even. And then you have all this young players and Julian and Wallner and Kirilloff that obviously have to take big steps too.
And what I really like in the case of Julian is it's very clear that he did exactly what Koski did way back when. Because when Corey came up at third base, he was a butcher. And he spent that winter in town with Gardy going over to the old U of M football building at the time and taking grounder after grounder after grounder. It sounds like while Julian went home, he also said, I got to take grounders all day long. And he did that. And that was a really nice play. I think between the hit he got off of southpaw and what we saw at second, and I think he's going to become now, because he is a really, you could tell he's a grinder, like he works his ass off. I think he's going to become a proficient second baseman. I write this down. By the middle of June or so, I think the platoon is not going to apply to him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to play against lefties. This doesn't strike me as a guy who accepts his lot in life. This strikes me as a guy who's like, bleep that. I'm going to show you I deserve this. I'm going to show you I can play. I think he probably was somewhat embarrassed by his play in the field in 2023.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think this guy is going to be an everyday player by June, and he's going to be in that sort of Kepler role of, you know what, kid, we'll just continue to play you. You'll get days off, but it's not going to be an automatic of a southpaw starting for the opponent that you're not playing.
Yeah. Yeah, still no word, obviously, on Royce Lewis. And also I saw a comment said, does this mean Brooks Lee coming up? Brooks Lee is also out for a month. So
out for a month with the back spasms.
So
I
more.
just saw that today. I'm like, why don't we know? Why didn't we know this? I knew he had back spasms, but it never said that he was going to be out for a month. So, oh boy,
whole thing is absolutely
and Kepler
bizarre.
might be hurt too. He fouled that ball right off his knee,
dropping like flat. Yeah, I'm actually curious to see what this lineup looks like with more injuries potentially piling up, and now you're facing a right-handed hitter. I mean, you're going to have some lefties, and you'll see Wallner and Kirilloff and Julian start on Saturday. The Twins don't play tomorrow with the off day built into the schedule. But yeah, this will be already a test. The bullpen was already tested, and now you don't want to lose two obviously everyday position players either.
If Kepler is not IL, but he can't play on Saturday, What's your guess? Margot in left, Buxton in center, Wallner in right, or vice versa on the two corners?
Yeah, I think obviously Buxton would remain in center, assuming he's going to play there every day. And that's kind of the luxury of Margot Castro,
Yeah.
right? Like Margot and Castro can both play left and center. Obviously, you're not putting Wallner doesn't have the speed to play center, but Wallner I think is probably can play some right field. Maybe you can start to see that if
He
Kepler's
can play
out.
some right field. I'm not sure if he's great out there, but
Yeah.
and he does have a cannon.
Cannon of an arm
his
helps.
arm is great. He 100% has a right fielder's arm. I don't know how good he is with the glove out.
He's also a lot faster. And I think people look at him, they think he's a lug. And last year, at least sprint speed wise, he actually moves pretty quick. He's not a complete lug liability, from a range standpoint in the outfield. But yeah, I think Margot makes things so much easier. And he DH'd obviously today.
Yes.
But you're probably going to see him, spell some time in center field. And yeah, probably Wallner in right, and maybe Margot in
left.
Margot in left. Yeah.
I mean, Kepler, my guess is Kepler is going to be slowed for a few days. That can't feel too good to foul a baseball off your leg there.
It was.
You can break your leg that way. I've seen
it
that
was
happen
at least nicer. And I think the high was like 65 at first pitch, so it's not freezing.
Well, I'm sure Max is taking a lot of solace in that. I'm feeling good, coach.
Woof. Hey, hit that subscribe button for daily, obviously not daily, but pretty dang close to daily Minnesota Twins coverage now that the season has started. This is Extra Innings with myself, Declan Goff. I'll have a rotating cast of characters at the before and end of Twins games, each pretty much every game for a homestand. And then during the road games, road series, I'll kind of mix these in every once in a while. But for every Twins home game, you can basically expect an extra inning piece of content. If it's a night game, you can expect a thing on YouTube or on your podcast feed during the early evening hour before first pitch. If it's a day game, you can expect a piece of content after the game. So we are really excited. I'm personally super excited for this. You'll see Judd. You'll see Ross Brendel. You'll see Mackey too. You'll see AJ Fredrickson. You'll see kind of our whole cast at Score North here as we make our way through the Twins season, and hopefully it's Royce Lewis. Yeah, can you rub the quad? Can you just?
No, that's the look. I thought about it for a second.
Yeah.
I thought it might look
I know what I
weird.
did. I know what I did.
Ooh,
so
boy,
yeah,
you almost got me to do something.
Hit that subscribe button for Minnesota sports content. This is Score North Twin Show. We appreciate 5-star ratings on Apple and Spotify. And we'll be back hopefully here soon in the next coming days. Hit that subscribe button. This is Extra Innings. Thanks everyone for listening and for watching.